So, about 8 years ago, I took the Strength Finder assessment, and I also took it a couple of years ago, and they were pretty much the same. And my top strengths are strategic, positivity, input, relator, and maximizer. I think maximizer is top one. If you don't know about it, you can find the link online on how to get an assessment of your top 5 strengths. I think it's like $20. And I have to think back like my whole life. I've always used my maximizer strength. I maximize space and time. And I was thinking back to a couple years ago, we had some workout equipment delivered here and we weren't here. So we had a friend, talk to the people that came in to install the equipment. We have about 5 pieces. But before they came, I measured everything. I went with the measurements they gave me, and I laid everything out in the room to where I wanted it. And I told them where I wanted it. And then when they came here, they called us on the phone and they said, "We can't do it. It's not going to fit the way you planned." And I said, "Yes, it is, because I figured it all out. I measured it all. I know what's going to fit in the space." Anyway, they didn't do it. And there was a bike in the middle of the room. And I thought, how could this be? So when we finally got here, a neighbor came over and I said, I want to move this over here and this over here. So our neighbor and my husband moved the equipment into the places where I had planned it originally. And the people who installed it said it couldn't be done. And I knew it could be done because I'm a maximizer. So I maximize space. I also maximize time, and I get a lot done in one day. I also have the strategic strength. And so I strategize, I plan things, I plan my day, I plan everything I do. And then I also have a high input strength, which allows me to collect information to strategize with in order to maximize my time. So I really use these strengths a lot. And I'm also a relator in positivity. So I like connections. I don't like small talk. And it's hard to go to parties because there's a lot of small talk. And it just doesn't interest me. It just doesn't feel right in my body. I like to get to know people one-on-one. I like to have common interests that we could share. And sometimes I go out with some of my girlfriends and, oh my gosh, we have so much in common and so many things that we're doing that are alike that we'll spend 4 hours talking and my cup is full. And it's all positive. It's all about, what do you want to do in the future? What are you working on now? What's exciting to you? It's all positive. And so I maximize my time with them too, because I also bring a sheet that I made that lists what questions I want to ask them. So that also shows my maximizer strength. I write down questions I want to ask them, and then I write down things that I want to tell them. And we get so excited when we see each other that I forget half the time. So that's why I write it down. So I also maximize my time with them. If I'm going to go out with people and they're going to complain and talk about different family members or friends that are upsetting them constantly, and that's all they ever talk about, it's really, I have to set boundaries and not be with these people very much because it just drains my energy. I would rather focus on positive things. Yes, there are negative things in the world. I understand that. But for the most part, I like to just concentrate on positive things because positivity is good for me. It's good for my body. I've been stressed in the past when I've met with people and they suck all my energy out of me and I've been sick. And I'm not going to let that happen again. So I have to set boundaries and be with the people who inspire me and who make me happy, make me laugh, and just are solution focused. And they like to talk about solutions instead of problems. So anyway, if you haven't taken this test, it's very interesting. And I was thinking in my younger years in school, I was always planning things, and I would have little clubs, and I would say, "Come to the club meeting." I was always strategizing on how to get these clubs together. And then I remember we made an event with our friends. We like to put on shows all the time. I don't know what strength that is to put on shows. We did one out by the pool, and I actually made ribbons to give a first, second, and third place ribbon. This is when I was really young. So, and then when I was on drill team, I would practice because I wanted to get it right. And I'm like that right now with my line dancing. I was doing it every single day, but 9 dances in one day every day is a lot. So I'm actually doing parts of them once a week on Mondays, which is today. So I do 9 of them. It takes me about 15 or 16 minutes to do maybe a couple minutes of each. But I have to keep practicing in order to keep it in my brain so I'll remember it. And you know what? When I was young, my cousin taught me how to do Rubik's Cube, and I could do it in a minute. And you could scramble it up any which way, and I could unscramble it and put it back to the way it's supposed to be in about a minute. And you know what? I didn't keep practicing that, so I have no idea how to do it now, but I would love to learn again. And I guess the strength I would use would be input, is to look online and see if I can find anybody that can teach me. But I did that, and I wasn't finding the solution. And then some of these were false. And so people go, this doesn't work. And it didn't. And I tried it. So I keep trying. Another thing where I use my input is we're going to start looking for e-bikes. And if you know anything about e-bikes and know which ones are the safest and have the longest battery life, please let me know, because I'm going to start collecting information on that and strategizing and doing what I can so we can get some e-bikes. So take the StrengthsFinder test. I don't know if it's called, I think it's called StrengthsFinder. Take the StrengthsFinder test, and it's about $20. You go online, I'll include a link, and you can also read my blog post about strengths at focusyourtime.com/strengths, and you'll have a link there. There's also a book called StrengthsFinder 2.0, and you can read about the strengths in that, and I think it has a link to the assessment. So even though I was a couple weeks ago, I was really focused on this strength topic, and I thought, okay, so what? So I know my strengths. What's that going to do for me? So I contacted my friend Jill, and I was asking her all these questions. Well, I know them, but what is it going to do for me? Well, it's not going to change the way I do any of my strengths, because these are my natural abilities and talents, but it does give you an awareness as to why you do the things you do. So I think it's very interesting, and it just gives you an awareness on how you do things, why you do things. And I think it would just be great for everybody in the world to take this assessment and learn about their strengths and have this awareness about their talents and abilities. And if you tell other people about them, if you and a friend both take the test, you can learn how to relate to each other better. Kind of like the love languages. It's kind of like that, but this is kind of like the strength languages. So it's just really interesting to learn each other's strengths. And, I remember when I was in school, they want you to focus on your weaknesses and improve them. But I think a better way is to focus on your strengths and let you use your strengths so you can maximize your strengths. And it makes you happier than having to focus on your weaknesses. When I was at work, we didn't call it strengths back then, but when I was at different jobs, but I'd be doing a job and they would notice a strength that I had. And so I remember I was doing executive admin, and they saw all the strengths I had somehow. And they said, "Oh, we want you to be a project manager." And I excelled at it because I'm really good at that. And I also learned how to create databases, and I used to analyze databases, and they saw that. And I just learned it because I thought it was fun, and I would go home at night and learn it. And it was my whole life. I loved it. And so they moved me up to working on databases and creating databases and being a reporting analyst, because I just got that analytical mind. And it was so much fun. And I've at other jobs that's happened too. I remember one of my first important jobs. I was a receptionist at this place that did racing cars, apparel for the people who drove the racing cars in California. And I was a receptionist. And so my boss showed me something in accounting and said, can you do this? Well, I don't know what she taught me, but I loved it. And they could see that I had this analytical brain. And they took me out of that receptionist position probably within a month. And then I was working in accounting, and I was actually balancing general ledgers, and I was coming in at 6 a.m. to do this. So it was quiet because I love to focus on trying to get the numbers to balance. And I couldn't wait to get to work every morning, 6 a.m. It was so fun. So I'm glad that some people noticed my strengths and let me act on them. I just think it's so much better than trying to improve your weaknesses, because that's no fun, is it? Anyway, go to focusyourtime.com/strengths and you can see a whole blog post about it with links to different things and links to the assessment. All right, so that's all I wanted to share today. I know this was kind of long. I hope y'all have a great day, and go find out what your strengths are and then let me know what they are, okay? All right, bye.